So now I've got my holster cut and my belt cut, and I'm going to want to dye the skin side. Not the side with the flesh, but the smooth side with the skin. The side with the flesh is very porous and it'll soak up the dye and then become hard. So what you want to do with it is just put shoe polish. Shoe polish will soak right into the soft side. But on the smooth skin side, you want to use a little bit of dye. So I'm going to use my little sponge applicator here. Try to paint this on reasonably evenly. And I did change out of my good clothing at the last second because it suddenly dawned on me I was about to go and start dyeing stuff wearing a good pair of blue jeans and a nice shirt. It hit me, that's not such a great idea. Alright, so now we're going to just sit here, try to go back and forth, just to try to let this soak up reasonably evenly. And of course I put down newspaper because if you haven't ever messed with it, dye is very nasty stuff to get on your table or your clothing. It don't come out, that's why it's known as dye. And I normally use one of those little kind of cottony swabby applicators. It looks like a little wool cotton ball. But I thought this time I would try to use one of these little cheapy sponges you can buy at your local hardware store. And yeah, it worked a lot better than the other little thing. I mean, it's a lot more surface area, so it made it all a lot more easier to apply. Alright, so there is the holster, and now I'm going to do the belt. Da, da, da. Yeah, it's just like painting the wall, nice and easy. Alright, I'm going to come back to that end in a second. One benefit of using a sponge to apply it is you can sponge it on the areas that don't look like they got quite enough. But of course I am going to use shoe polish on this after the fact, and I'll show you the special shoe polish I use here in a second. Alright, now I'm going to go back down to here. I'm going to lift this up, and I'm just going to carefully get the underside here. Since that's on the underside, it's not the end of the world if it's not perfect. That is where the belt is going to buckle into itself, so it's going to be covered once the belt's put on. There we go. And this side down here doesn't look as good as the rest of it, so I'm just going to hit it with a little bit more of the dye. Get it nice and smooth and even. And part of this is the leather also has inconsistencies in it, so dyeing it and looking at it as it dries and soaks in, you can kind of hit it in some places where it needs a little bit more to try to give it an even look of dye. So now we're going to give that a little bit of time to soak in and dry, and then I'll show you how we polish it up.
Meep, meep.